I'm Tapp, the Director of Leasing at Workplace One. We're here today at our newest location at 26 Wellington, which is right on the border of historic Old Toronto and the financial district. We're here today for a virtual tour of the space, as well as to talk to one of the senior designers, Katelynn Kelley, who helped design the space, as well as to execute the creative vision of our newest location. Well, thank you for joining me today, Katelynn. How have you been?
Great. Yeah, just working from home mostly. So I was able to get out and see the Workplace One office, and I did that last week, and it's looking wonderful. It's looking beautiful in the background, even behind you. I myself am a senior designer with Straticom. I've been with Straticom for about four and a half years now, so it's been a while. Obviously that shows that it's a great design firm, and we're very lucky to have great clients like Workplace One. And I think in my past the time that I've been with Straticom, I've been able to work on, I think, maybe about 3 or 4 Workplace One projects now. So I've had a bit of taste over the last couple of years. So it's been exciting to see, how each one evolves and the changes and the different projects that we're getting. So in general, it's a great company, and I'm very fortunate to kind of get to work with great clients like you guys. So
awesome. Well, we love the work you do. It's beautiful. So I know you're the Straticom team. You've developed the creative vision for a lot of our Workplace One locations, as you've just said, in the years that you've been with them as well.
Yeah.
Can you describe how you initially approach each project? Are there common goals that you aim to accomplish in the design of our Workplace One space? And are there any driving values and functions of the Workplace One business that might be to you as a designer?
Yeah. So I think one of the really interesting things about Workplace One as a company, and which is why I love working on the projects, is that each project is obviously very different. And I think the locations play into that, and that really helps us create our design concept. So, usually with this specific project and others in the past, we'll look at the neighborhoods and the locations that it's in. So obviously that kind of helps you give a bit of insight into the demographic and, any kind of little interesting quirks that those neighborhoods might have. And that's something that we really use to drive the concept. So, each community has its own history, and that really just kind of helps us develop a new personality for each space. We really want to diversify each location. So by taking inspiration from the neighborhoods, you're always going to end up with a different personality no matter what. And in terms of goals, obviously, with Workplace One, the goals of the spaces that we create there, we want to create flexibility. We want to also help create a sense of community, because obviously there's a lot of different people working in the same space. So we want to create these areas that people can come together can be productive in this space and efficient. So those are all key factors, I think, in driving the even space planning and programming of the space. And I think really our goals, and I think Workplace One's values tie in together. So I know Workplace One as a company values, creating unique spaces. They want to foster creativity and always have this idea of an elevated design within each one. So I think they're all kind of tied in together in a way. But usually that's kind of how we start a project, and it usually takes off from there.
And I know you spoke a little how, all of our locations have different personalities, and, you go into our Queen West location and it looks different than our King East location. And especially sitting here at Wellington, I notice a lot of differences from some of the other locations that we have. What inspires, I guess, these unique personalities, let's call it, of every space as a designer for you? Like, how do you go into a space and kind of decipher what it's going to look like and create that personality from there?
I think walking around the neighborhood, getting a sense of the vibe of the neighborhood. So Wellington specifically, I think that neighborhood is a little bit more of the old Toronto. So there's a lot of history and art and culture and interesting buildings and architecture. So, there's that side of it, but then there's also, it's kind of close to the financial district. So a little bit more serious and sophisticated. So those are all kind of things that help us start it. And then we use those and we take off from there. So, I mean, specifically with this location, I think we really wanted to create something that was sophisticated, modern, and kind of simple. And one of the things when we were kind of doing our brainstorming session with our team was just this idea of kind of Japanese minimal design, because that in itself is super beautiful. It's obviously drawing from history. We looked at Frank Lloyd Wright as an architect because he was very much into that type of design in his career. So it was fun creating the concept for this space because we did a lot of research. And what ended up kind of taking off from all the research we did was just this idea of Japanese design, but putting a modern twist on it. So then it's just really fun from there, because it's just, you get to create all these interesting little vignettes and details, and that's what we really wanted to do with this space. There's lots of thoughtful emphasis and little vignettes of areas that create like a focal point. So it's taking that idea of, simplicity, minimalism, and emphasis, and just putting it and injecting it into the design.
Alrighty, so your team at Straticom describes the design of this location as incorporating 3 design principles: simplicity, beauty, and naturalism. How, I guess, would you define these 3 characteristics in this space, and what might be some examples?
I think as a general note, it's the idea that less is more. Sometimes you walk into a space and there's a lot of different elements that sometimes it's almost like an overload of sensory things to look at. And I think one of the things with simplicity is that the idea is really creating a space that's harmonious. So all the elements kind of tie together. So it's just a very easy space to kind of walk in and take in without being overloaded with too many things, because all of the elements kind of read the same. So simplicity, repeating the same form. So you'll notice in the space there's spots where we've used circles, and in the lighting and in some of the architectural elements there's circles, and we've tried to repeat curves and soft edges and things like that, whether it's the furniture or when you walk into the doorway there's this kind of really cool curved surround. So things like that, it's repeating the same elements. It creates a sense of simplicity in the space, but still creates some interest. Forms, I think we're using a lot of lines in the space. So these lines kind of guide you around the space, but it's nothing different from what you would see when you first walk in, but it's almost like it evolves around the space, the same kind of element. And I think really there's a lot of texture and things like that. So wood grain, we've used a lot of wood, but it's, there's differences in the wood colors, but everything kind of is harmonious and just creates a bit of simplicity in that sense, because it all ties together. The last thing that you said that we had touched on also was naturalism. So, when you walk through the space, you'll notice we wanted to incorporate foliage and some plants and things like that. So we did it in a very, I think, thoughtful way where it's not just, plants and foliage and gardens everywhere, but we've done it in a very intentional way. So there's specific plants that have this emphasis on them because where they're located or where there's a light on them. So we just wanted to create, a sense of naturalism through incorporating plants and things like that, which is also part of that Japanese kind of concept. So you'll notice throughout the space, there's little touches of that as well.
One thing I love about your Straticom's design and what you do for our Workplace One location is your finishes. So a lot of the furniture, like for example, there's a beautiful large, it looks like a custom made couch right behind me. And I'd love to hear a little bit about your sourcing for your furniture, for all of your fixtures and decor items. Like how do you go about that? Where are they from? What's that process like?
I think with this space, we almost wanted to curate it exactly how we wanted to. So it was a little bit more hands-on, and we really went through and handpicked each piece. So with this project, what we've done is we did all of our research and we actually picked exactly what we wanted for the space. And we were lucky enough to get basically every piece that we had handpicked off, through images and online, our vendor was able to source for us. So basically every single piece in that space was part of the original vision, which is amazing because sometimes that doesn't happen. We have our specific dealers we like to go to because they just have those simple and clean kind of pieces that are timeless. And I think that's really important because you want to make sure it's going to be relevant now and also still relevant in 4 to 5 years from now. So
yeah, you're so right. That's exactly what it is. It's timeless, is having these simple pieces. And like you said, you can give it its personality with the little touches and little design elements. But yeah, I love the timeless nature. It speaks really well to, I think, what you've designed here in this space, and what people I think that are coming to this location are really looking for, and it will be reflective of their personalities too. Yeah,
exactly. It turned out great from what I can see. So I really hope that everyone loves it and gets the same feeling of comfort when they're in there and enjoys the space. And I can't wait to go back there next week to check it out. So yeah.
Well, it's looking great. You did a great job.